pleasedon't by Traveller's Tales. Crash Bandicoot, the Wrath of Cortex.
Hey everyone, Joshua here from Record, and welcome back to a new all Crash Bandicoot review episode, you guys. And in this one, in this video, we are reviewing the first Crash Bandicoot game that came out from Traveller's Tales, known as TT Games now, and the first Crash Bandicoot 2 game. The first Crash game that just came out on the PlayStation 2. So, let's get into it, shall we? So let's start with the story first. So the story starts off with we're in outer space, and in Cortex's space station, and Uka is so angry at his henchmen for failing every single time for trying to defeat Crash Bandicoot, but that keeps failing, and which I can totally understand. And Uka wants them to come up with one good plan so they could absolutely win this time. But of course, and Jen has to come out and say that to remind them that every time they think of a plan, Crash always finds out to defeat them, manage to beat them at the end. But Uka's really mad at them. Has had enough of their failing. So, Dr. Cortex is just, of course, aggravated. And Trophy comes up with, of course, telling Dr. Cortex that hasn't he been working on a new secret weapon in his laboratory. And Dr. Cortex doesn't know what he's talking about. And Jen comes out and says that he's referring to this new secret weapon that he's been working over in Day and Light since the last time Crash defeated him. But Dr. Cortex comes out and says that with his super weapon he has been working on, it needs a power source and a believable strength, but the final cruising of element. And then Uka just comes up with elements. And then he comes up with the elementals to help him. So Dr. Cortex and them come up with the idea to release the elementals from their slumber, from their internal slumber that they are trapped in, to help for the power source of Cortex's new super weapon, which that is official. They are going to release the elementals. So we cut back to the beach, where Crash and Coco are on the water. Coco on her jet ski and Crash just riding behind. And Aku and Pura are just relaxing, and then suddenly a big boom has came in the volcano. Aku is not happy of what's happening because he thinks he knows who is causing this. So there's a giant wave that comes up behind Crash and Coco, and they crash onto the beach. And Aku may have knows what is going on. That his twin brother, Uka might find out has a plan, and so he's going to go and see what Dr. Cortex and them are doing. So we go to this random temple outside in the middle of outer space. So Aku tells him what kind of diabolical plan, because him and Dr. Cortex planned this time. But Uka says no schemes, just some old familiar faces dropping by for a visit. And yup, the elementals are back. And Aku tells him, why did he release them? Don't you know what happened the last time they were freed? So Uka says that, of course, they were responsible for a few earthquakes, floods, and ice age couple centuries back. And then Uka, of course, says that they are far too dangerous to be released, and this can cause disaster for us all. So, of course, the elementals try to absolutely blow up Aku Aku, but somehow manages to get away with it. And Uka Uka tells them that there's no one that's going to be able to stop them. So we cut back to Crash, Coco, Pura, and then Aku Aku comes back and tells them that it is just as he feared. Uka Uka and Dr. Cortex has released a group of destructive masks known as the Elementals. So they must find a way to stop them and put them into their internal slumber, trap them back into their internal slumber that they were once trapped in. And to do that, they need to collect power crystals. Power crystals will be used to trap the elementals back into their hibernation, their internal slumber. So, Aku Aku tells Coco if her new thing she's been working on is almost finished, and she said it is. And that's what we're going to be using to go and get the power crystals. Which we're off to a good start, right? We're definitely off to a good start here. So, we go to Coco's kind of little lab, I guess. Which we are going to be going to, is where the power crystals we are going to be collecting is. And it's really cool as well. It is really cool as well. And I definitely trust Coco with all this. So, this is where our adventure begins. You guys, this is where our adventure begins here. So, we cut back to Dr. Cortex, the first cutscene, where, Cortex tells him how is he doing and still gathering crystals. And then he tells him that his super weapon, which is Crunch Bandicoot. Yes. This is in fact the first Crash game that Crunch Bandicoot has been introduced. And he is brainwashed by Cortex, you guys. Which we need to also get the power crystals to free Crunch from Cortex's brainwash, from being brainwashed by Cortex. So we go into different warp rooms and levels. Like you usually, kind of like a copy and paste of Crash Bandicoot Warp, right? So we meet the first elemental mask, Rocco, which he tells him that Dr. Cortex and Uka Uka has released him from his captive slumber, and he's gonna burn anyone that he gets in his way, and he warns us to not collect the crystals or he's gonna burn us alive. So we go to the first level of Warp Room 1, which it is in fact a snow level. Very fun snow level, and this is also where the first color gem takes place as well. And that is the blue gem in the death route. If you can manage to not die before the death route, you could go and get the blue gem. Which is not really that hard. But yeah, I really do love this level. It's a real great start to this game. And I definitely really do love this level. And now we go to the second level of Warp Room 1, Tornado Alert, which we are driving in a plane, I guess, in a farm, kind of in a farm area, which we gotta destroy some, which Coco tells us that destroyed the machines that are making those tornadoes, and instead of lab assistants that you get hit by in the other planes, it is actually Cortex's henchmen. Yes, Cortex's henchmen are not bosses in this game. Like Tiny and Trophy, Dingodile, and Jen, they are not bosses in this game. They are replacing the lab assistants in these flying levels. And some other levels as well, just to let you know. Which is really, I think, a real good change, in my opinion. But yeah, I really love this level. It's really good. So we go to the third level, and Rocco tells us that you want a piece of him. So, now we go to the third level, which is a ball level. The first ball level that you actually roll around in a ball. And I can just tell you, it's a real good level. I really do love this level. I think it's really fun to being able to roll around in a ball. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And all the level layouts and stuff is really cool as well. And now we go to the 4th level of Warp Room 1. Wizards and Lizards. It always gets me with the name. But yes, my personal favorite level of Warp Room 1. Yeah, because you know the dragon in Dragon Mines in Nitrofield? Well, guess what? That dragon is in fact the dragon that you get chased in this game. Yes, that is the same dragon. This dragon that you get chased by is indeed the same dragon from this game from Dragon Mines. If you did not know that, which is really cool. I really love how they did that. And there's also another color gem, the 2nd color gem, the green gem. Once again, if you can manage to not die before you get to the death route, then you manage to get the green gem. So Rocco comes and says that he's gonna sake, rattle, and roller bandicoot butt. And then we come to the final level of Warp Room 1. And this one has 2 gems. One, you need the yellow gem to go to get the hidden gem. And, of course, the regular gem, just get the box gem. And this is a really cool level, because it's like a machinery. Right? Like you're playing in a machinery inside. Which is so cool, in my opinion. It's so cool, and I love it. I love how you're inside like a machinery. It's really cool. So, Rocco comes up and tells us that we have been busy collecting crystals, and he warned us. And then Crunch comes up and says, finally, he gets to wrap his fingers around us. And here's the first boss, you guys. This is the first boss of the game. The boss, we now come to the first boss. And the boss of Warp Room 1, which it is Crunch with Rocco. You're facing Crunch with Rocco. And all you have to do is avoid Crunch hitting any of the balls orange. And you will actually get hit if they are orange too. But try not to hit him too. And if you hit them all, the rocks all blue, you manage to take a piece of Crunch's health away. Do that 3 times and he is out. And I do want to let y'all guys know too, each phase that you get, like especially the final one, instead of 3, there are now 4. So it gets trickier and trickier. So once you have defeated Crunch in Warp Room 1, you get a brand new power, the Snake Shoes, which will let you sneak tiptoe on nitro crates. Yes. You can actually sneak on nitro crates. And then, once you get back to the warp room, Uka is so mad that is angry that Crash managed to beat one of the elementals. And Cortex comes out and says to Crash that you may have outsmarted Rocco, but there are 3 more elementals. And he has no doubt that the water elemental, Wawa, will make sure Crash never sees the light of day. Which, y'all love the voice of. And then Crunch says that the water boy is going to take him out. And he's going to rip him limb from limb. And then we come to the water elemental. Which, I'll let y'all hear what he has to say.
Crash Bandicoot, you've got some nerve setting foot into my domain without an invitation. Don't talk back to me. I'll fix that attitude problem of yours.
And now we come to the first level of the 2nd warp room, Jungle Roller. And this level has some very interesting creatures in this level. And you get to, and at the end, you get to actually ride in a jeep while getting chased by rhinoceroses. Yeah. There's actually another chase sequence. Because I really like this level. It's really good. And now we come to the second level of Warp Room 2, which is the first water level. Yes, underwater level. Which, of course, you're in your classic Crash Bandicoot Warp scuba gear. Just going around in the water. It's kind of like you would be doing in the kind of underwater part. And like I said, this has a really good environment with some new enemies that you run into. And yeah, a lot of crazy things happen, like sharks that look like you, that look like Crash, to giant creatures, to fast blue kind of creatures that just go crazy. Scuba man. Yeah. And now we go to the third level of Warp Room 1. And this is the first level that you actually get to play as Coco, not inside a vehicle or anything. You guys, you actually do not get to... You actually play as Coco, not in a vehicle, which is really nice, a really nice change, in my opinion. And you're like in this Japanese kind of Chinese kind of level, which I really like. And you can actually get a secret ability from this level, and that's the supercharged body slam. Yes, in this level, if you have the red gem to go into route, you get the gem and you get a hidden power. And now we go to the fourth level of Warp Room 2, which I really don't like this level. Basically, you're riding on some kind of beetle, I guess? I really don't know. And you're shooting down ships. Yeah, and you're having to avoid kind of different cannons and while trying to stay alive as well. Yeah, and you gotta make sure you can't constantly be firing like you usually can. You have to lock on to the thing to actually shoot it, which I really don't like. And I forget to mention, in Coco's level, you actually get a cutscene.
Leave my levels alone!
So when we go to the final level, we get another Wawa scene.
They're gonna have to hang you out to dry when I get through with you!
So, the final level, we have another underwater level. But this time, you're in a kind of submarine. I kind of don't know what those things are called, but I know what they are. But you think it's a normal water level, right? Nope. It's not all water, which is really cool. You just think it's another water level, but no. It is not. Wait until the end. Once you get to close to the end, you think the level's over, right? Nope. That's just the start. You actually go out of the water for the rest of the level, which is really cool. I love how they do that. And I would love to see that kind of thing return, right? I'd love to see that kind of thing return. And the rest of the level is really good, if I have to say so myself. I really do love this level, with the electric kind of water reach you gotta avoid, to electric kind of eels electric eels just flopping because they're not in water. And yeah, it's just real good level. So it is time for the second boss, which I'll let Wawa and Crunch explain.
Ah! Get over here, you little orange sponge!
Cause we're gonna wring you out.
So, we go to the second boss, Water Crunch. Water Crunch. He has, I'm pretty sure, 3 phases. One with a blue force field, then a kind of fire thing to duck under, then he just does something that will just sink the ground if you're not careful. So, once you defeat Crunch and Wawa, you get the double jump power-up. So, Cortex is very mad that you have managed to beat 2 elementals And he's gotten this far, and this is as far as we're gonna get. Pyro the fire elemental will take care of us. That's what he said. That's what he says. But Cortex, or Crunch, says that he doesn't need any more elemental mass to help him. He can take Crash on by himself. But Cortex refuses. That Crunch must obey him and use Pyro to defeat Crash once and for all.
Realize my brethren have had some trouble with you, my little orange friend, but I'm not quite sure why. Is it getting hot in here? Is it safe to be wearing that fur? It looks flammable!
So we go to the first level of Warp Room 3, the Gauntlet. Which is kind of like Wizards and Lizards. Lizards and Wizards. But you don't have a chase sequence, you guys. And this is where the third color gem comes into place. If I'm not mistaken. The purple gem, which once again, Death Root. Make sure you don't die, and you get the purple gem. But this one is a little bit difficult, just because of more traps and stuff as well. Which I really do love the kind of feel that they gave to this level. I think it works really well, if I say so myself. So here we are on the second level of Warp Room 3, which is another Coco level. But this time, there is a chase sequence. You guys, there is a chase sequence. And you're probably wondering, what is the chase? Well, you're actually riding on a scooter with a float of water coming and chasing you, and you gotta get out of there as fast as you can. Yes. And at the end, there is a blue gem root, which you need the blue gem to get a hidden gem. It's not a color gem, of course, but you need the blue gem to get, or to go and get the hidden gem.
I have a taste for some deep-fried bandicoot.
So we go to the third level of Warp Room 3, and I love this level. I just love this level. I adore this level so much. I don't know why. You're racing, instead of lab assistants, you're racing in a Jeep. Instead of your motorcycle, your average motorcycle. And instead of racing against lab assistants, you're racing against InGen, Tiny, Dingodile, and Trophy. In a kind of desert wasteland. How can you not love it? It's absolutely gorgeous and absolutely love it. Don't know why I love this level so much, but it's absolutely fantastic. So, we go to the fourth level of Warp Room 3. Another ball level, but this time, we're in the snow, and guess what? Dingodile and Trophy, or Dingodile, at least Dingodile, yeah, Dingodile and Trophy and Tiny block you. Like, look at Tiny. Look at Tiny. He just goes back side to side, just trying to block you. Dingodile, of course, uses his flamethrower to try to blast you, and then Trophy tries to blast you as well with his spear. But yeah, it's really awkward to actually see Cortex's henchmen actually as replacing the lab assistants for once, most of the time. But hey, a real good change in my opinion. Absolutely love it.
Hope you brought your sunscreen, cause you're gonna burn.
And now we go to the final level of Warp Room 3, which is this real cool looking environment where you're floating. You're floating in a hot kind of room, but like with the other level. In Warp Room, Warp Room 2, the last Warp Room, with the water level, it's not all water. Same as this one, it's not all flying. Once you get to the end, well, boom, and there you go. And you actually get introduced to a new box, a new crate, which it makes you turn invisible. so you are undamageable, which is really cool. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention we have this, which you can see Crash's skull, which is really cool looking.
Ah, the triumphant hero Crash, reduced to a pile of smoldering ash.
Let's finish this.
Which we come to the third boss of the game, Pyro Crunch, or Lava Rock Crunch, which you use a mech suit. After you dodge lava rocks, you have to use the mech suit, spray and blast water on Crunch to try to burn him out. But each phase, it gets difficult. The mech suit is farther, the rocks will split open and be more difficult to get, or to actually avoid, and yeah, it's definitely a hard challenge. But hey, once defeating Pyro and Crunch, you get the Death Tornado Spin. And I'm just telling you, Uka Uka is so angry that he managed to beat 3 elementals by far. And he is losing his patience. And Crunch, of course, is complaining that he doesn't need another elemental mask to help him, and he can take Crash on by himself with his arm tied behind his back. And Cortex tells Crunch to stop being silly, and Uka Uka, he will use the elemental mask, and no need to lose any beauty sleep. I don't know why it does. And now we come to the final elemental, Lolo.
The Crash Bandicoot, eh? Oh, I've heard so much about you, and this is the hero I have to blow away? Huh, seems like a bunch of hot air to me.
So the first level of Warp Room 4 is another Coco level, but this time, Coco, you're playing as Coco in the snow, and with a lot of cool obstacles and stuff, and another chase sequence. Yes, you are skiing from a snow storm, and going through flags to get a hidden gem, and avoiding Nitro as well. And we go to the second level of Warp Room 4, which is a real cool level. It's kind of like a futuristic machinery inside, and it's actually really cool of what you get to use. Oh yeah, and the monkey bars in the floor electrocutes once in a while, so you have to look out. You gotta be careful with that. And that amazing thing I mentioned is using a mech suit. Yes, using a mech in the level. Instead of getting chased or having to chase down a boss with a mech, you actually get to play with a mech in an actual level.
Is there a draft in here?
So, we go into the third level, which you are using Coco in a spaceship in space, destroying kind of shields around space stations to strike the planet, and you gotta use Coco's ship to destroy it, which is really cool. I really love it. I really love this idea. It's absolutely fantastic. And now we go to the fourth level in Warp Room 4, which is another water level. And this time, of course, you start into the, like you did in the last one, but this time, it is all water this time. But this time, there's something different. And for the rest of the level, you go into a barrel, and you switch back into your scuba gear for the rest of the level, which I just think is so fantastic, and I love it. It's so cool, and I really love how they actually did that for this water level.
Not used to the weather here, a wimp.
So we go to the final level of Warp Room 4, which is a really interesting looking level. You guys, it's a really interesting level. I absolutely love it because you have hanging segments, platforming segments, and avoiding fire hazard segments, and tornadoes that just on the floor in holes for some reason, which okay. But yeah, this level's really good, and you gotta look out for fans as well. Yes, you gotta look out for fans as well, which, why not?
Hey, look! The orange boy likes to fly!
Time to earn your wings, kid.
So we go to the fourth boss of the game, you guys. We go to the fourth boss of the game, which is kind of a genie-looking crunch, and there's different phases. Each time Lolo circles around a part of Crunch's body, that's where you gotta shoot. Crunch will spray a laser out of his arms, spray kind of different stuff out of his face, and will make a force field as well that you gotta try to avoid. But once you have defeated that, the Lolo and Crunch, you get the Fruit Bazooka.
Well, here we are again. I wouldn't necessarily call this irony, but don't you find it a little odd that we keep meeting under these same world domination circumstances? Why not just give up? And let me win for once! Don't worry, Dr. Cortex. Now that my elemental powers have reached maximum capacity, this little geek is gonna wish he was never created.
And now we go to the first level of the final warp room. And it is kind of a really cool volcano kind of looking level. And you get the red gem by going through the death route. And yeah, I just have to say this level's fantastic. I absolutely love this level. A lot of cool atmosphere, and it's just really cool. Then we go to the second level of Warp Room, of the final Warp Room 5. And that is a Wild West theme. And this is where you get the final colored gem, the yellow colored gem, by going through the death route. You gotta look out for cows, cacti, birds, kind of like you did in Crash 2, and yeah, and scorpions as well, and kind of western guys that will lay bombs once in a while. But yeah, I really love this because it's a western theme. Oh yeah, and you can use a minecart as well.
Bring it. Bring that bandicoot.
And now we go to the third level of the final warp room, which is another ball level. And this time it's a medieval kind of theme. And you gotta look out for different loads of traps, like kind of circle kind of things I can't explain that will come out once in a while. Things will sling and come and get you. And of course, tiny dingo and then trophy blocking your path as well. And now we go to the fourth level of Warp Room 5. And you are in a mech in this level. Not for the whole or not at the start, but and there is a fire chasing segment as well, which you gotta look out for as well. And there is a color gem path. A color gem path. Of course you don't get a color gem, but if you get, I'm pretty sure the purple gem, you can go through that path and get the hidden gem that is in the purple route.
Crash, you've been a naughty boy, but now that's going to end.
And now we come to the final level before facing the final boss, Cortex Vortex. We're in the Cortex Vortex, you guys. And you got to go through the last set of defense from Cortex before you face him and Crunch and the elementals. And I just love this. And there's a colored gem route as well to get in a hidden gem as well. But yeah, this I absolutely love for a final level of this game.
Congratulations, Crash. You should be proud of yourself. Not only have you collected all the crystals in record time, but you also defeated the elementals. Let Crunch and me be the first ones to congratulate you. By pummeling your sad bandicoot frame into a pulp. Come and get it.
So here we are. We have made it to the final boss of the game. And you have to face Crunch that will use all the elementals. And then once he gets worn out, you use the bazooka to shoot him, and then he'll punch Cortex, and you got to hit Cortex. Rocco, of course, sends falling lava rocks, and Wawa will send frozen ice cubes, and basically he'll do them in a certain order. And yeah, it's a real insane boss fight. Especially an insane final boss fight, in my opinion. And then he goes for Pyro, he sets the floor on fire as well on certain bits. And yeah, it's just crazy. And then Lolo uses lasers to laser some of the parts of it as well. Which is okay. Which, if you stand right between where lasers are shooting in the middle, you can actually avoid it, which I find to be very interesting and really good. And then you manage to get the final power. And that is the speed shoes, you guys. And then we managed to get an ending that, of course, Cortex is mad that he failed again. But Uka told him that Koras may have collected all the crystals, but he doesn't have the gems. With the gems, they can resurrect the mask one last time, and defeat him once and for all. So you gotta go back to every level that you missed the gem, go and get the gems, and get the relics. And this time, it doesn't matter if you get Sapphire, you will still get 106%. You guys. It doesn't matter if you get gold, sapphire, platinum, you will still be able to get 106%, which is really good. So, let's go to the secret warp room, you guys. Which, of course, like in Crash Warp, you need a certain amount of gems and, well, no, you actually need a certain amount of relics to actually unlock the levels. The first level, it is a dark version of the gauntlet, basically. But with different kind of trap and stuff as well. And there's actually a hidden gem, which is not very easy to spot. If you're kind of not easy to spot, but I'm not going to spoil it for you. And then we go to the second level of the secret warp room, which it is a race against Crunch in a minecart. Yes. The first gem, winning first place, beating Crunch. And then the second, of course, gem is, of course, getting all the crates. Which I find this minigame, this level, actually not to be really that hard. I mean, at least if you know what you're doing and don't get killed by nitros, which they're pretty much almost everywhere, you should be fine. So we go to the third level of the secret warp room, which it is a race going through rings, but this time you're not in a plane, and you're racing against a polar bear on a magic carpet. Yeah, and the snow. Okay. Which this one, I don't think was really that bad. And then you go to the fourth level of the secret warp room, which it is a ball level in space this time. And there's 2 gems. One, of course, is in a hidden location, which, of course, I'm not going to spoil it. And then, of course, getting all the crates. Which, once again, Cortex's henchmen are bodyguards in this level, you guys. Which, do be careful. And there's different routes that you can take as well in this level, too. Then we go to the final level of the secret warp room, which it is a Coco level riding on a skateboard. Just, riding, which this time, not having to worry about anything chasing, but you, of course, if you miss a crate, you cannot go back and get it, which is really bad. But not a really bad final level for the secret warp room, if I say so myself. And once you have collected all the relics and all the gems, it is now time to face the final boss once and for all. The second time, which of course, do them all again, of course, once again, do them all. Just do the exact same fight, and this time you'll get a different ending. This time, Cortex is again once upset, and manages to make Uka Uka very upset. So, Uka Uka tries to shoot Cortex, but of course, Cortex dodges and destroys some part of the space station, which makes it malfunction. And Crunch is no longer brainwashed by Dr. Cortex. He is now good now. He is now good again. So, it is time for y'all to escape because the space station is malfunctioning. And Cortex mentions and says that maybe we should use the escape pod because Uka Uka's energy bone may have made a malfunction. So Coco comes in and grabs Crunch, Crash, and Aku Aku, and they take them back home. And Aku Aku tells them that thank y'all for rescuing me and saving me from the control of Dr. Cortex. And Coco mentions, what do you think, or do you think that was the last we would see of Dr. Cortex and Uka Uka? And then Crunch tells him that somehow he doesn't think that very much. And then we come to Uka Uka and Dr. Cortex abandoned on an iceberg in the middle of nowhere. And Uka Uka just constantly shooting Cortex. And that's where Crash Bandicoot, or my favorite Crash game of all time, Crash Twinsanity, starts on this part. So that is going to wrap it up for this review on Crash Bandicoot, The Wrath of Cortex. I hope you enjoyed. Hit the like button, subscribe for ring bells when you guys don't channel, and tell the guys to sit on below into this review. And guys, what do y'all think of the Crash Bandicoot, The Wrath of Cortex? So tomorrow will be my review on, I'm pretty sure it's Tag Team, or Nitro Kart. I'm pretty sure Nitro Kart got released after Wrath of Cortex. So yeah, tomorrow will be my Nitro Kart review. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next video. Bye! Oh yeah, and also, I did forget to mention as well, on editing this review, I did forget to mention as well, at the beginning of this review, I will leave the link in the description to the channel that this Wrath of Cortex gameplay used on this review came from. I will leave a link in the description to the channel where this gameplay was, where the footage was on this review. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next video. Bye!